Hello, welcome back to the adventures of young CGB. Today is all about continuing our quick constructed campaign with the blue-black deck. We do have some quests over here like deal 50 damage, cast 20 white or red spells, cast 40 creatures. The blue-black deck isn't going to help us very much with that, but since we have an empty quest slot, we can wait until tomorrow to worry about that, and then we'll probably jam something like red aggro, something that can accomplish these very quickly. But let's get back into our quick constructed campaign and see how it plays out. We're sitting on 2 wins and a loss. I'd love to see how far we can get with our little blue-black control that could here. Basically a Gearhulk spamming machine at this point. And we're going to play somebody with the audacity to use Teferi as their avatar. Maybe we're in for another long one. I will keep. We do have a Siphoner early. All of these tap lands, not great. And our opponent, perhaps playing a little possum, slamming that Slither Blade. 1-2 can't be blocked. This is often a deck that likes to play cards like Curious Obsession to get their Slither Blade through. It's a deck that's making, I wouldn't say it's like the new hotness or anything, but it's a deck that's coming up on Magic Online and is now showing up more here in Arena, is this kind of quick blue tempo attack situation. I'm going to Fatal Push Brawl right now. It reduces the cost of instant and sorcery spells by 1, and whenever our opponent counters something, they can loot, and I want none of that. I want that not happening. So I'm going to kill with Fatal Push. Cast Down can target a non-legendary creature. Brawl is legendary, so that's why we're saving the cast down. Our opponent jamming an Aether Sphere Harvester. It's a threatening card. Slither Blade is not a threatening card without Curious Obsession, an enchantment that lets the opponent draw cards when it deals damage to us. We've covered before that drawing cards is a big, important, and crucial part of Magic, as is represented here on the Siphoner. Uh-oh. Do we have the we can't drag bug? I think we do. I don't know if we're going to be able to fight through this, but hold on to your butts. Looks like we're going to have to try. So we can no longer cast our spells by dragging, and we can no longer scry with a card like Glimmer of Genius. So that's a problem. We're going to let that resolve. If we sat there thinking about it, it would give away that we have counter spells, and I definitely want to use a cast down on this Aether Sphere Harvester. Here they come. Our opponent could have a counterspell for this cast down, but I think we just have to take that risk. The other thing we could do is wait till end step. Waiting till end step means if our opponent has a Tempest Djinn or another creature to play, we could disallow or syncopate it. I actually find that to be rather wise, so I am going to wait and take this damage. As those resolving and us holding 2 counterspells would be kind of tragic. It would be a very bad situation. It'd be so bad I don't think we could come back. So since our opponent played nothing, we'll go for our cast down now. Always make sure that when you're doing that, it's here in the opponent's end step, that this is what's highlighted at that moment. There is an Aether Hub. I could play my Glint-Sleeve Siphoner. It would take down the counter shields, though. My opponent not playing anything there doesn't mean they don't have something. I think I'll at least wait one more turn. I would love a chance to draw another land before playing Siphoner. It's too bad because my life total is slowly shrinking, and there is the Tempest Djinn. That is why we waited. Let's go for the Syncopate. We got to get it out of our hands sometime, and since our opponent has more lands than we do, eventually it won't be a very good card anymore. That's a really good draw to go with the Siphoner, because we can have Essence Scatter available and Siphoner on the battlefield, perhaps. Okay, our opponent without an Essence Scatter. It's a card this deck does play. If you're wondering how I always know what other decks do and what they play, it's because I study a lot on websites like MTG Goldfish, StarCityGames.com, ChannelFireball.com. They have strategy articles. They publish deck lists from recent events. So I've been seeing this show up in the Magic Online 5.0. Also, Daily MTG publishes that information. Those are some websites you can use. So I've been seeing it show up, and I've been thinking about playing it myself. So when I see it now, I know what kind of cards they play. I'm not going to be very surprised. We do take the extra draw step even though we're getting attacked, because the way that we get back in the game is by having cards to use against our opponent's creatures. So not drawing the cards would be a mistake. Okay, on end step, our opponent's going for a commit. And I'm going to let that resolve. Our Siphoner isn't tremendously important. I think I'm going to let that resolve. The problem is we may have to draw the Siphoner again. If we don't have a land on top of our deck, these Gearhulks just keep rotting there. It's actually a lot tougher than I think, because this going back into the deck, I really don't want that to happen. Yeah, I guess I should disallow it. The more I think about it, the more it just paints me into a corner. If I miss my next land drop and it's not a relevant card to these Slither Blades, I could just lose to them. All right. We still have the Scatter, and another creature is the most threatening thing our opponent can play. They don't have Planeswalkers. You don't see like Karn out of this deck or weirdness like that. Memory to draw a fresh 7. I actually love it. I actually love it. I hate it. I take it all back. Oh my god. How does this happen? How does this happen? I take it back. I love it. Okay. You might find me a bit bipolar. Yeah. Let's throw this Duress and see what our opponent's working with. Curious Obsession is there. 2 Essence Scatters are there. Tempest Jin is there. So I got to take out this Curious Obsession. So my plan is to use the Vraska's Contempt on whatever the Obsession lands on. Unfortunately for me, that Tempest Jin means I've got to draw an answer. We could take the Obsession. We could take the Obsession. Yeah. And Contempt the Tempest Jin. Yeah, that's better. We don't have a creature right now anyway. So what am I doing? We need double black. Our Siphoner isn't going to draw a card if we use Contempt on our opponent's turn, so maybe we don't want to do that. Let's get in there, because we can't block the Slither Blades. Never forget that. And let's get out. I guess if we had one more energy... No, let's get out the swamp. All right, end turn. There it is. Our opponent still with the Trickster. Oh, they drew another Obsession? Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? It's tempting to sack this Memorial and try to get back in the game that way. Let my opponent have another card here. And then we have Contempt for the Tempest Jin and 3 that we have to take care of. And okay, yeah, I guess I have to do it this way. I hate it. I hate it, you guys. What a... God, that memory was brutal. Our opponent... almost all spells, us almost all lands, but I guess that's why you play the memory sometimes. Getting really nailed by the RNG on this one. There's the Jin. Yep, he's a boss. Alright, we gotta sack this. Nope, that doesn't work, I guess. I thought I had enough. Oh, it's 5. Never mind. That's what I thought, and then I thought I saw it highlighted. So to be honest, I knew that. I was just, I think, thinking too optimistically, where I was like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. All right, get you out of there. Go to 7. Don't get our draw step. We need a draw removal spell right here. Torrential Gearhulk could not do it because our opponent has frickin' Essence Scatter. Ugh. So what do we need? We need to draw Fatal Push off the Memorial to Genius, I think. I think that's what we have to do. That or our opponent has to tap out here somehow. Here's a Trickster. Here's a tap down. Yep, if we went for the Gearhulk here, it would just get Essence Scattered. So we may as well try this now. It's got to be Fatal Push, or we can get out and join a new game. Unbelievable! Everything was going so well. Oh well. It happens. Like I said, that is a competitive deck on Magic Online, so there's not shame in losing to it, anything like that. And it's probably best against control, if I had to guess. Decks with Vraska's Contempt in them are the best things to get under with Slither Blades and Curious Obsessions. Yeah. I don't think I made any terrible mistakes. I think I just got hosed by the memory. Haunted, you might say, by the memory. Now we have to forget about it. Yeah, I'm keeping it. It's got turn 2 Siphoner with an energy, so we can start drawing cards. Should be good, but of course Siphoner could die. We even have the Essence Scarab to protect from Goblin Chain Whirler, if that's the way our opponent rolls. But we're fighting. We're fighting to stay alive in this quick constructed now. Fighting for our life. Well, opponent, they took a while to think about it. Must have been a really close hand, and now they've gone to 6, and they're going to keep it with a card on top. So we have reason to expect this to be competitive. When they keep a 6 with a card on top, it's especially on the draw, it's not that different from keeping a 7. Okay. This is a bit too thoughtful, in my opinion, for a first turn. Come on now. Let's do this. Let's play the Magic. Let's move the cards. The YouTube audience. Oh, wow. It's a lot of thinking for a turn 1 Bomat Courier. Now, would you like to attack with it? Yeah. So that's about the worst thing that could have happened to us. It does make this Siphoner very unlikely to live, but we're going to go for it anyway. It does force our opponent, if they have Shock, Lightning Strike, anything like that, they're going to want to do it this turn. If they don't have it, okay, they got Kenra, sure. Earthshaker, Kenra. So the perfect start after mulligan to 6. And tanking on their first turn for what felt like forever. It is what it is. Magic players will be Magic players. I think we'll just hold back and trade this away, is my next plan. Yep. Trade this with something, counter stuff for 2 turns. We could Essence Scatter or Disallow it. I guess the Disallow can hit a counter spell later. Alright. Go away. Go away. Opponent doesn't attack at all? I can appreciate this. Thank you, opponent. We're gonna whirl them chains. Wizard's Lightning for 3. Disallow. It uses our mana this turn. It forces our opponent, if they don't attack again, I mean, we're just getting so much out of this Siphoner that's just sitting here laughing at our opponent's creatures. And this makes an energy. Then attacking could make an energy. Our opponent would have to double block. Yeah, drawing more cards is good. Let's see what they do if we attack. I mean, it would kill both of them, so there's no way they're going to block. We'll play this. Have another energy so we can draw a card next turn. Nope. We'll play this. Murder the Bomat Courier so it doesn't get more cards on it. And we'll see what our opponent does with their turn. Hazret right now wouldn't be able to attack the turn they played it, so I have Vraska's Contempt for that on a future turn. Our opponent uses a Shock this time on the Siphoner. Fine by me. It happens. Flame of Keld. Oh, yay. Discard another Flame and a Wizard's Lightning. Wow. Alright, we drew the Gearhulk. Say go. There's a Disallow, an Essence Scatter, and a Murder right now. But maybe the key is to Contempt this and then bring it back. Okay. Our opponent's going for the Pyromancer. Yep, that's fine. And a Lava Runner, sure. You attacking? Yes, you are. Alright, let's grab the Murder. Murder you. Lock you. And good. Alright, let's start attacking. We need to kill the opponent quickly before they draw too many good cards or enough lands to bring back Kenras. Let's also make a colorless. Make a Siphoner again. And end the turn. Now the red source thing goes off. Our opponent gets to deal some extra damage this turn. Let's see what they do with it. They go in face. Do I want to block and trade? No, not really. So what I should have done, and I often forget this, so it's something I still need to learn and get better at, decline, is that's a great draw. I got lucky. But I still need to remember that Wizard's Lightning requires a wizard in play to be cast. If I had used Contempt on that Pyromancer on my turn, my opponent would have only been able to resolve one of those Wizard's Lightnings on that crucial turn. And I should have done that. And I should have seen that. And for some reason, I've got a block on that. But if you can kill the wizard before the opponent's critical turn with Flame of Keld, then maybe they can't cast all the Wizard's Lightnings they wish to cast. But our opponent drew a land, it's game over, and we pulled it off against the red Flame of Keld deck, which is also a full-blown standard deck, one that does see competitive play for anybody who isn't sure and thinks that, you know, this Magic deck is neat, or I wonder if this person came up with this deck. I think it's important to know, especially in the games that you play, if you are doing well against decks that are competitive viable on other platforms when fully unlocked, then you're doing a good job on a free-to-play account. So that's why I let you know, so that you can stay positive. And that it was very much another competitive deck. What is the Crimson Alchemist got for us? That's part of the whole gist of the channel, right? Teaching you to be competitive without spending money. Or at least trying to. So this is an awkward hand. 5 lands. The cheapest and the most expensive and nothing in between. I think I have to mulligan it and hope for better. And yeah, that's better. Yeah, I'll keep it. I need it. Here's a Boneyard. Blue-white, huh? Fun. See if they have an answer for this Siphoner. Or are we going to just be countering everything this game? Is that going to be how we're going to play it? So it is. Alrighty, gear up. This is going to be a long one. If we win, we break even on gold. If we lose, we are out at a slightly less gold than we paid to enter. And it looks like it's going to be a staring match. Drawing Fatal Push, not good. Drawing Essence Scatter, not good. Drawing Negate, pretty good. Where will it all shake out? Who knows? Who's favored? It depends. Is our opponent playing all the Teferis, or are they playing all the Gearhulks? Like, how do they win, right? That's That's what matters. How does the opponent actually plan to win the game? We may have enough tools between Contempts, Negates, and Gearhulks to just remove all of their ways to win. But if they're winning with Approach to the Second Sun, that could also be a problem. We'll have to draw our counter spells. They miss a land drop, but we draw another blank in Fatal Push. Would have rather drawn absolutely nothing. I'm guessing our opponent has no targets for the Fatal Push based on most of the lists I've ever seen. I could be wrong. Sometimes you get surprises. For the most part, what Fatal Push does in this matchup is we kill our own creatures so they go to the graveyard so Scarab God can get them back on cue. We could play this out. We do have a Negate to go with it, but I don't think anything good would happen, so I'm going to wait. Patience is very important in these matchups. It's very hard to just resolve something and win. And it would be best to play it after my opponent tries to play something themselves. But the staring match continues. Interesting. Didn't stop for my Evolving Wilds there for a few clicks. But it eventually did. No harm, no foul. And now our opponent has the 8 cards in hand, so they have to discard some things, which is what happens if the staring match just goes on too long. They must have a pretty good hand if they're discarding Blink of an Eye, unfortunately, for us. Because Blink of an Eye can actually target several things from this deck. If they discarded a Seal Away, I'd be like, Of course, they are against blue-black. Seal Away is not as bad. They do. Everybody knows that blue-black has to win with creatures, and our opponent saw our Glint-Sleeve Siphoner. So our opponent might have Gearhulks. That's why we hang on to things like Essence Scatter, but not Fatal Push. Nope, not bad idea. But it does, it's like a show of force, right? I discarded a Negate. My hand must be so good. I think my opponent discarded, Hieroglyphic Illumination. That's fine too. I meant to discard that Fatal Push, but I clearly clicked on that Negate. I think I had a brain fart. Actually, I'll tell you exactly what happened. It got me. So it's windy out, and I live on the coast. So when it's windy, the wind comes in through this side window, and it makes the door make a banging noise if I didn't shut it completely. Like it goes thud, thud, and it makes me think somebody came in the room, which is why, or that there's a ghost. So it's why you see me go like this, all right? So that's what happened, and I picked the Negate when I should not have. You have my apologies. The quality of the gameplay just significantly decreased. Discarding Settle, okay. And it looks like our opponent's still a little stuck on the lands here, which is good for us. They probably have tools that we don't have for the matchup, like Search for Azcanta. So the longer we can have a staring match and make them discard some tools and wait for somebody to make a move, the better. Okay, my opponent's discarding Negate now. Show of force. We have found lands again. But, yep. It's all about seeing who will do something first. The person who acts first is often the loser when people are this set up. But the longer my opponent has to discard, possibly the less tools they have when they start hitting their land drops again. So, like, the pattern is you often, if you're hitting land drops, and we are, by pure luck, I might add, and your opponent is not, the pattern is to let them discard until they start hitting land drops again and then start throwing things at them, and they might run out of ammo. Of course, we'll need enough things to throw. We don't have that much to throw here. The Scarab God will definitely get countered. The Torrential Gearhulk will definitely get countered. But if we let them discard enough things and we draw enough cards that they have to deal with, maybe something eventually survives. And we're also getting through our mana pocket, so this is going great. Everything's great over here. But I just wish I could trade this Essence Scatter for this Negate right here. Our opponent's hit a big pocket without mana. This is kind of what you want. I know it's not fun to watch. Put me on 2x speed. Remember, YouTube can do that. You might enjoy it. Drop you off. All the Contempts for all the Teferis, should our opponent try to win this way. We still haven't seen what they win with. Approach of the Second Sun, Teferi, and Torrential Gearhulk are the ones that usually come up. Yeah, they're still discarding. My hand is still full of things I don't mind discarding. So, yeah, keep it coming. Another Field of Ruin. Protect against, search for his Kanta. How many seal-aways is this? All the seal-aways? And on end step, they might do something. Hold on to your butts. Yep, that's fine. You can draw all the cards you like. I'm not going to counter those. I'm going to fight you on the things that would win you the game. Memorial of Genius. Well, we can Field of Ruin that. Or we can let our opponent draw those cards. Save Field of Ruin for search for his Kanta. Let's see what we draw. Another Gearhulk. Okay. So, let's see. Let's see if our opponent tries to play something on our end step again. Nope. Okay. I think it's you. And yep. I think it's you. Having Scarab God is kind of like, it's what we want to be the last thing that happens in the game is, here's Scarab God. Alright, that's something we can just put out there to die. Perfect. What you got? The interesting thing about Siphoner is it doesn't have to attack to do something. It can draw us an extra card next turn, even if the opponent doesn't kill it. So, yeah, they need to Essence Scatter it here. Perfectly fine. Didn't expect it to do anything. And they're thinking about, do I use this Memorial to Genius? They're counting my mana. Trying to figure out how to resolve their toys. And here's a Field of Ruin targeting a Submerged Boneyard. I'll tap that for blue, and that resolves. Why would that be? So we still have Duress. All the glimmers are nice and packed tight together. I wonder why they would use a Field of Ruin there for a Boneyard. Like, that doesn't make sense. That's one of the weirdest plays I've seen. You know, I'll let that mana go. It's fine. And they don't use their Memorial. Maybe boredom is setting in for the opponent. Good, good. Right where we want them. All right. Their hand, I would consider, is very likely to be better than ours, based on all the spells they've drawn. That's why I'm being careful. But again, patience. Usually it's the person who moves first that loses. The only other way I want to do it is if I have all my disallows. I also would love to draw Glimmer of Genius just so or an Anticipate. Something I can flash back here. Because I don't want to play the Gearhulk for just nothing. If it does resolve, which is a big if. But if it does resolve, I would want it to get me something. Now our opponent's using their timeouts on nothing. What is happening? We were playing a nice game. Maybe not. Maybe nice is too strong of a word. But if you can't handle these types of games, do not play control. It's not good for you. Someday you might grow to appreciate it, but right now avoid it. If you do not want to get into staring matches and do nothing and discard and yeah, if this isn't what you want to do, don't play these decks. If you do play these decks, this is what you signed up for. You may as well try to get decent at it. Unusual thing to be a staller over. Maybe their kid is acting up. Maybe their mom is yelling at them. Who knows? That's the thing about the interwebs. Two Essence Scatters, one Negate, one Syncopate. Yep. Keep it coming. Let's just wait until we can have the real big fight. Our opponents, you see, they're not even sacrificing their Memorial. I might, on end step, just go after that Memorial to make them discard some more cards. And make them tap a whole bunch of mana. Actually, God, I should just time it better. I should wait until they play anything. Although they've proven they have no interest in that. I wonder if that would get them to move. If I sacked a Field of Ruin, would they sack that Memorial to Genius, draw 2 cards, discard multiple cards? Let's see what they do this turn. They're looking in my graveyard. Maybe they're thinking about Scarab Gods and Gearhulks too. Makes sense. Eventually we'll get so low in the library that Search for Azcanta doesn't even matter. So then having the Field of Ruins, it's just kind of silly. Our opponent, you can see like the timer is shrinking. It's a very tiny timer right now. I don't know what they could be thinking for. Another timeout used. They're on 2 now. My turn. Let's see if, so they've used 2 timeouts this turn. I think it's the best time to get them thinking. Is when they're already like tilting on something, and then we throw them a curveball. Give them opportunities to make mistakes. And they can tap their mana to use it. It's totally fine. And nope. Opponent not flinching. Kudos to them. Pull from Tomorrow discarded. Egads. Everyone's given up on that resolving, I suppose. Now I have a Memorial. I won't be shy about cracking it. Just so you know, everybody watching, I won't be shy about breaking this thing open. Another discard? A Disallow. Yeah, that's a show of force right there. But again, that's one way to get him out of the hand. Alright, let's go fetch. Get the last basic land out of the deck. It's Memorial. I can't really win through decking because our opponent, you know, all they need is like Teferi to go back in their deck once or twice, and that won't work. Or they could have Nexus of Fate. We don't have those cards. So we do have to win with damage. The only question is when. Torrential Gearhulk, huh? Fetching what? Okay. Good a time as any to start this counter war. Let's do it. My opponent will likely fight me over this. I expect them to. Disallow and disallow. Fine. All right, so now this is on the stack. Our opponent has 4 mana. We could go for the Syncopate, or we could go for our own Gearhulk. And I think I'll go for my own Gearhulk. My plan is to resolve the Scarab God next turn. So, colorless. And my opponent will almost surely Essence Scatter this, but it will bring them very, very low on mana, which means we should resolve Scarab God next turn, which getting back our own Gearhulks and Siphoners is going to be pretty good. Yep, there's the Disallow. Sure. So our opponent's going to get a Gearhulk, but what's it going to get? Another Disallow to stop my Memorial of Genius? That doesn't seem very good. They may wish to get a Hieroglyphic Elimination. Let's see what they do. How many Disallows have we seen? All of them? Nope, there's still one more. So they're going to disallow the trigger so I don't draw 2 cards. That's fine. Doesn't bother me too much. Those cards, we're probably going to see them if we want to anyway. There's only 22 cards left in the deck in a control mirror. Another Syncopate. All right. So Scarab God getting back what? Scarab God getting back Gearhulk. Casting down my opponent's Gearhulk so I can get my opponent's Gearhulk to negate whatever is trying to remove the Scarab God. Alrighty. Sounds fun. And before our opponent can disallow, we'll do our first trigger. And this is why we waited since what seems like the very, 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 very start of the game with this Scarab God. Kill the opponent's Gearhulk. Now we can get their Gearhulk out of their graveyard to counter a spell of our opponent's. Which is why we also didn't want Vraska's Contempt this Gearhulk. We wanted it very much in the graveyard. Now, unfortunately, we're sitting on Syncopates. Syncopates, very mana intense. And our opponent has 14 of them. So that's the downside. But let's see what happens. We might see a Fumigate, but maybe our opponent discarded those by now. Here's a Cast Out. Cast Out can target the Scarab God. Yeah, let's try to mess with it. Because at the very least, we get another Gearhulk on the battlefield before our Scarab God goes away. Could disallow the trigger. Which, if I had one more mana... Nope, didn't disallow the trigger. So what do we want to use? The Negate? Yeah, the Negate. Negate the Cast Out. Now what do you have? They can approach the second sun through a Syncopate. But I would Syncopate it anyway just to get them to tap out their mana. At this point, Syncopate just becomes like a tempo play Teferi. Is that worth syncopating? No, the next spell after the Teferi is. Depending what they play.
Right on schedule.
My opponent might minus it to bury the Scarab God. No, he's going to draw cards.
Let's skip to the good part.
Don't know about that, but we'll see. Perhaps there's Settle the Wreckage in hand. Put a stop on the upkeep. I may want to get this Glint-Sleeve Siphoner. That's still in the graveyard. I think it's the last thing I can fetch, though. Yeah, but that's not good enough. It's not a good reason to do it on upkeep. Our hand is already so mana intense. So what are the other cards you're holding back, opponent? Is it like all the Teferis you could find? Fumigate. Ooh. Nope. That's a little... I would call that a bit of a sequencing error. You might have wanted to do that before you did Teferi. Opponent burns another timeout. They do replenish, but I just find it interesting. I find it interesting to know what they consider thinking so hard for. All right, definitely want the Disallow. Siphoner, you can be backup. I'll keep you on top. All right. Start the party with Vraska's Contempt. She is a bit of a party pooper with all that Contempt, but it looks like our opponent's without a counter. All right, let's crash in here. And I think we just say go. We can still get a Siphoner out of the graveyard. We have a Gearhulk that can act as a counterspell and an actual counterspell and a Syncopate. Yeah. We backed our opponent into the corner. Let's see what they do. Down to 3 cards now after such a grueling game. 20 cards each in the library. There is another Teferi. I think that is fine. We can contempt it.
This isn't a fight you can win.
It probably is a fight I can win, but we will see. Even if he had buried the Scarab God, the main thing I can't have happen now is a Settle the Wreckage, Fumigate, or Gearhulk. Those are the things that are must counter. Okay, we're going to end step. Trigger on the stack. What you got? Nope, not what I meant to do. Interesting. I'm a little confused. I'm pretty sure I was getting the Contempt. I'm pretty sure I was casting the Contempt there. Oh well. Misclicks seem to be a thing. That was probably something I would do anyway, but I didn't want to do it first. I wanted to do it second. Yeah, I'm guessing our opponent's hand is like all their Teferis. They just refuse to discard these. But the thing is, you really only end up playing 1 a turn when you're up against instant speed removal, and when things start to fall apart, he doesn't get you back alone. He's very good. But I don't think our opponent was anticipating all the shenanigans we do with the Scarab God. Okay. The Glimmer, the Hub I don't need. I don't think I need. Hold on. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Don't be lazy. Something like that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with hitting a land drop this turn. Nothing wrong with hitting a land drop. On a crucial turn like this, you never know when you'll need it. We're 12 to 16 going on 17. It should be enough. But it makes, like, basically Syncopate, make sure it's a hard counter. Playing around Settle the Wreckage. Are there any more creatures anywhere? But that doesn't play around the Approach of the Second Sun. I think we just attack our opponent here. I don't have to attack him with the Scarab God. I can send the rest of the team to do the work. Means that the rest of my creatures also have a double life. Scarab God can stay back and be general. What's it gonna be? Feel the tension. Sanguine Sacrament. Aren't you a troll? Well. Syncopate for 1 to exile it. Ice cold. Ice cold. Alrighty. Got him. Ah, goodness gracious. Well, we got back to 4 wins. How are we? God, is this already an hour? Like, how long was that game? 46 minutes. Jeez Louise. Yeah. So, the problem with grinding in control decks, as you can see quite here quite clearly, is the amount of time it takes. I think I'm going to try to do one more. Gotta crank them out sometime. Here we go. We broke even on gold, now everything's bonus. And yeah, I'd like to play against a creature deck with this hand. Bring it. All your things are dead and counted. Aha. Boneyard. It's a merged kind. Oh no, not again. I guess it could still be Godpharaoh's Gift, Turbo Fog. Turbo Fog wouldn't make me happy either. Really? Really? We're doing it again? Oh no. You know what you signed up for. Take my own advice, right? Of course, this hand is terrible against a blue-white, like, pure Teferi control or Approach of the Second Sun deck. We've basically drawn 4 non-cards. It's like we have a 2-card hand against a 7-card hand, although we don't know what's in their hand. Okay, that will try to fix the hand. If, of course, they even have it resolve. All right, what you got? Some people counter these. It's risky. Like, the opponent doesn't know enough about my deck to say I'm not Esper and couldn't play a white mana and a Teferi, but they're going to counter it anyway. I mean, they might also have another thing, a Negate that would make it worth it. I don't counter things like that very often. But I find that players on Arena all the time. Okay, I guess we'll try you. Without an energy source, we do actually have to attack, which exposes it to seal away and such to draw a card, which is not good. Opponent lets it resolve. Alright. Opponent taking their time on our turn. I want to cast it out. Yeah, I'd pretty much have to allow that. Can't really fight over that. Not with our opponent at this mana position. They could Teferi, they could Gearhulk if we tap out. Both would be bad. Wow. Yep, the luck hasn't found us yet this game, but our opponent still has to get through us. So there's not like a good reason to concede or anything, and I'm trying not to get frustrated. And we'll see what happens. There he is. The hero. Negate you. Keeps 2 mana open for a Syncopate. I guess 1 mana open would do the same thing. Maybe I should have disallowed. I feel like my opponent has a negate, though. Oh, I guess not. Maybe it is a Syncopate or a Censor. We saw the Censor already. Too bad I can't punish my opponent for going for that play. I don't have anything to resolve myself. Alright, my turn. Your turn. Yep. Like I said, I don't counter those very often. Draw 2s. I would need a really good reason. Opponent's considering... Ooh, if they go for this field. Hold on. There is a Glimmer in our graveyard. So we tap this for blue. We hit resolve. Go get our other black. Our opponent's tapped out now. Well, they're going to have 1 mana. Oh, why didn't it? Oh, because I hit the past turn. So I was going to play the Gearhulk and Glimmer there with my opponent tapped out, and because I had hit the past turn earlier, it didn't allow that. Now I might just lose. We'll see. Our opponent needs to have a disallow for the disallow, and then they need to untap their 2 lands with Teferi and have a counter. Or Supreme Will does it. A counter for the Vraska's Contempt.
I know my responsibility. Keep up the pace.
They didn't have a negate before. Maybe they don't have one now. We'll find out. Gearhulk wouldn't play around Censor, which our opponent very well could have more of. Alright, 4 lands, pass turn. It's one of those funky things in Arena, man. You use the pass turn thing, but then your opponent does something, but then it didn't hold priority for mana in the pool. I don't know. Because when your opponent takes action, it's not supposed to pass the turn anymore. But I guess that's just something to learn. Yep. Totally fine. Do your thing. I just have 5 cards here that don't matter. Nothing to see here. And 1 Gearhulk that's very unlikely to resolve. Six cards that don't matter. But it's at least intimidating for my opponent to look over there and see all this going on. So our opponent tried to fight a battle to pull ahead early with Teferi. It didn't work out. We fought back through it. Now they've got Search for Azcana, which, yeah, we gotta try. It's gonna get countered. There's nothing to be done. Because the other thing to do is to hope we draw one of our 2 Field of Ruins. Yep. So now we are just trying to rip a Field of Ruin off the top. But if I don't, I'll probably leave. There's nothing much to play for here. Alrighty. Well, control mirrors. Hopefully you got a little how-to about what's important, what's not, what works, what doesn't. I think that both of those... I think that the first one we could have lost easily if we had played worse. And the second one I don't think we could play differently and really pull it off. The only thing is that Gearhulk moment, and that didn't honestly make a lot of sense to me. So I don't feel too bad about it. But now I can hopefully learn from it and set a stop, I guess, is how I would make sure I got to cast my Gearhulk next time. All right, speaking of next time on Young CGB, we're going to knock out this red or white spell quest. And as we approach, we're digging into our third week as we come down the stretch to the final week, trying to come up with some other ideas of things to show you. But yeah, we will be back doing more Young CGB episodes, at least for the next 3 days after this. So stay tuned to the channel, and I'll see you later. All right, bye.